Yeah, I think the media has really failed in damn.
I was gonna say you should wait because they seem like they come. It's a fire department on my block, everybody, and we should leave this in to let you know what really go down. It's a fire department, and they just trying to save lives. We can't be mad.
Welcome back, everyone. Read the Room podcast. It's your girl, Merv.
It's Embria. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We gotta figure out like a,
way to start
like
the
an
episode
intro that's like, yeah. It's your girl.
They be so dramatic on the radio station. I'm thinking about it now. Like, that's one thing that has not evolved.
Yeah.
They still be like, it's your girl.
Right.
Like Money Made High or whatever.
Hey, girl. And they do like a little like short little ad lib of like themselves. You know how like they'd be like, oh, it's DJ Envy do about themselves.
And they still the people don't want that. Okay,
anyway, but we're not on radio. We are on a podcast. So like I said, welcome back. I say this every time, but if you're new, thanks for joining. If you're continuing rocking with us, just more tenured.
If you're seasoned.
Yeah, seasoned, tenured.
Seasoned roommate.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back. That's cute.
Yeah.
Upperclassmen at the dorm.
Welcome back nonetheless. I'm going to plug our social media at the front because I don't be knowing if y'all be making it to the end. So you can follow us on social media, Instagram at Read the Room Pod, Twitter at Read the Room Pod, and you can always send us an email.
readtheroompod@gmail.com.
We'll be waiting.
We want to give out advice,
so bad. But last time we talked about being equally yoked. That was a good conversation.
That was a good conversation, and that got a lot of social media interaction.
Yes, I was like, where did y'all come from?
The people were really interacting. So it's interesting to see, I don't know, everyone's experiences. Like, we had some polls on our story being like, have you ever been in a relationship or in a situation with someone who made less or who was less educated? And everyone was like, yes, I'm okay with that. Yes. Yeah. And then it was like, one of the questions was, would you like become romantically involved with someone who's in between situations? That's a nice way of saying unemployed, okay? And everybody was super, yes, I definitely would. And then I put another poll and said, so would you help pay their bills? No. So, like, are y'all
was lying.
Right? Like, what's the truth?
I'm going to be honest, I voted no on everything because y'all already heard the conversation. Y'all knew how it was coming. And that's why I was like, dang, y'all really out here doing this?
Everyone was acting all super until it came down to, would you help pay their bills?
Right.
And it was like, no. But you know what? Someone responded, she's married, and she was like, of course, it's my husband. Like, I would definitely hold him down in those situations. And I think that that's a great answer. However, if you're non-married and things are questionable, it's a thin line between holding somebody down and then becoming a crutch to them.
Exactly.
Because if they know that you are going to be there, they might spend their money a little more recklessly because they know that you're going to do it. Or if y'all are splitting the bills, they might be like, okay, well, I'm going to give you my portion on the 6th. And you know it's due on the 1st and things like that. So it's a very thin line. Mm-hmm. I would advise from personal experience to not even straddle that line. Yeah. But if you get in that situation, you have to figure it out.
I will say though, like early on in the relationships, that's an absolute no.
That's a big
even
red
if you
flag
vote a yes, like don't even do it. I feel like you either have to be super like into the relationship, like years and years, or married. Because you made that commitment.
For you to
to be helping somebody all that. But if we like starting out, we a year or two. I mean, like I don't know if I'm gonna do all that.
And I think that it's also very unattractive. Like you could be attracted to someone,
off,
and then it makes them so unattractive. Just like making bad decisions. Like now you're ugly. Like, and it's one thing to. Okay, say I want to go to a very nice restaurant and I know that it's not within your budget. I'm going to cover it because I want to go to that nice restaurant. It's another thing for me to need to buy you a toothbrush and toothpaste. And your basic needs, you should be able to
You should have been deal with.
Right. And I'm not saying that I ever have to buy anybody a toothbrush, but I'm just saying like your most basic needs, eating, housing, you know,
that type of stuff
should be covered.
Either like your own form of transportation or like commuting, something.
All that.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about using cars.
Lord.
Let's just
the girls be down bad, bro.
Anyway,
so it was nonetheless. It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was super active on social media.
One last thing. I actually had some dudes respond to me
when
I had asked some question like, to men, would you want to be with a woman who makes more, or do you want to hold it down? Yeah. And I was like, don't lie. When I tell you literally 3 men out of all the hundreds of people who looked at the story, literally 3 men responded, and they're like, I don't mind a woman making more. And 2 people responded in like big old paragraphs being like, it was kind of a yes-ish, no-ish answer. Yeah. Like, I mean, I wouldn't mind a woman who makes more, but if she makes too much more, then it might be a problem because, but a good point was made. If it becomes too much more, like, does she respect me, and do I respect myself in that situation? Yeah. Which is a good point. Like, dang, I'm out here not helping at all. Like, so internally, it might be something. And then
that's a valid point right there.
It is. And then someone else made the point saying that if you're not taking care of your woman fully, if you're going half and half, it was basically like what Herb said in that video. What? If you go 50-50 on the bills, then it's 50-50 on the romance, 50-50 on the everything. Like, she can challenge you more if you don't provide. It was a very misogynistic answer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you're helping pay the bills, then I can't make you do X, Y, Z. That's what it came off like to me. But
is it saying it in the form of like not like controlling the person or like
it was
so basically like you do all the romantic stuff so she can't be controlling or ask too many questions? Is that where it was?
No, it was controlling adjacent to me. It was like, if we're splitting the bills, then it's like too much of it seemed like it's too collaborative in that way. So then that will roll over into every other aspect of our life. Like, okay, if the man wants to have sex and she doesn't, okay, we're not having it. Right. But if he's providing for her, then I think that she feels more indebted to him and inclined to do what he wants in other aspects, which is sick and sad.
It is sick and sad.
But a lot of them think like that. So...
Yeah. Anyways, so today we are taking a different approach. We always say that we're taking a different turn.
We're like skirt every episode,
because that's what our podcast is about. But today we're going to talk about something that's super important. Actually, my cousin gave me this idea. Hey Ruth.
Hey Ruthie.
But today we're going to be talking about navigating mental health in the Black community, because that's the community we belong to. So what I first wanted to start off with is the relationship that the Black community has with mental health and like the stigmas around it. And I wanted to ask you, like, what is your relationship or your community or your family's relationship with mental health?
Oh my God, it's so funny. My mom was just calling, and I'm gonna have to text her like, we're actually doing an episode. It's interesting that you asked, because that's been very prevalent in recent years. Yeah. So for anyone who knows me, you know that my mom had gone through this terrible medical situation a few years back, like came very, very close to death, and she didn't die, and I'm so grateful. We are so happy. Yeah. However, going through a situation and being as near to death as that, my sentiment is like, therapy. Yeah. Go and see a therapist, because you can't possibly deal with all that on your own. But then, of course, the stigma in our community is there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm not going to go and see a therapist unless I'm crazy, and I'm not crazy, so I don't need it. Yeah. So then I find myself, and I'm sure other people have found themselves in a similar situation of trying to suggest therapy adjacent things. It's like, okay, like maybe let's start reading a book, and let's start doing art and start talking. Journaling. Yeah, like, so, but I feel like if there was not such a negative stigma in our community, it would be as simple as, okay, you went through something traumatic, go to therapy, and then it'd be like, boom. But it's not that way. What about yours?
So my family is one family that needs therapy like no other, but they refuse to go. For example, my mom and my brother's 15, and he's going through this time where he's just like rebelling like crazy.
Oh,
It's insane. And so I'm always trying to stay in the middle because my mom will kick my brother out. Like, she will do that. So I'm always trying to, like, come in between and try to figure out ways to, like, bring the both of them together.
Yeah.
So I told my mom, I was like, okay, why don't y'all go to therapy?
Mm-hmm.
My mom said, why would I go to therapy? She's like, I'm the mom. Why would I go to therapy?
That I'm the mom thing, they think that I'm the mom trumps everything in the world.
I'm like, what are you talking about? That has no bearing in this conversation. I'm like, you guys have obviously this really aggressive relationship, and y'all need to talk about why it is so aggressive. You need to get to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm not going to therapy. I don't need therapy. I know how to be. I'm a good mother. I'm like, I never said you was a bad mother. I'm just saying maybe there's additional support that you can benefit from by talking to a therapist. I even tried to have my brother sit in on one of my therapy sessions just because I was a little bit worried about him and the path that he was going. Just cold. It just... He
went and...
He went for 5 minutes. Yeah.
And then, was it on Zoom?
Yeah, it was on Zoom.
So he just logged out?
No. It was my session, but my therapist wanted me to bring him on as like a way to like kind of like warm up. But he was just like one word answers, that type of thing. So it's like,
that's also a very tough age to be at.
Yeah.
15. I feel like, at 15 years old, that's difficult. But
so needless to say, we don't have a good relationship with
mental health
or anything of the nature. But as I was doing my reading, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
But as I was doing my readings, I was kind of going through some of like the beliefs that kind of contribute to this, the stigma that we all have around mental health. One of them is it's seen as a sign of weakness, and that's something that should be kind of.
Okay, I think people see needing help as a weakness, and they're like, okay, I don't want people to know my business and that I have things going on. One thing, if you go to a therapist and y'all have your own little relationship, so nobody else has to know. Another thing, though, all of us can look around and you can just see on social media and then people that you know, individuals who could use help.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I don't want nobody knowing my business. We can see that you need the help. So it would be better if you go and speak to someone, and then all these red flags and you acting, a certain way. When you go on Facebook, I don't be on Facebook, but I be seeing screenshots of people doing the long old thing. It's like, if you were
Facebook does a lot.
That's why I don't be over there. I just be seeing screenshots like, wow, it's wild over there. But those people who are arguing with people, beefing with people, have these long old paragraphs about who knows what. Like, just if you were seeing someone, you wouldn't feel the need to go on Facebook and share it. But
yeah, exactly. They also mentioned that a lot of the stigma can also be formed through our experiences, whether that be cultural or even like sharing stories between family and friends. The example they gave is like, let's say you have an uncle or someone in your family that's severely dealing with a mental health issue, and it's like, oh, they're crazy. So now you have this connotation that this thing that they're going through is just so bad that even if you're going through anything, you don't want to outwardly say it because you don't want nobody to think you're crazy.
Oh my gosh, yes. Nobody thinking you're crazy or also taking up space.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if somebody's going through something that's this bad, like, say someone in your family, I don't know, was something like majorly bad. I don't know.
Mental health wise?
Is diagnosed with, like
schizophrenia.
Like I was just going to say, someone's diagnosed with schizophrenia and then you be getting anxious at work. You're not going to go to your family and be like, you guys, I might have anxiety. They'll be like, he's dealing with schizophrenia. Like, could you please, it's levels. But I mean, I think that's why it's so important to have your own relationship with your own mental health, outlets, so that you don't necessarily have to broadcast to the family all of your things, but you still are getting like the help that you need.
Exactly. It's just this nature that we have of talking about things as if they're taboo or, super bad. Even with my relationship with my mom has gotten so much better now that we don't live together. But
it's always that way.
But I talked to her about my own personal mental health issues and things like that, and she's like, just pray about it. She's like, why are you feeling that way? Stop caring about what other people think. I'm like, girl, if I knew why I was feeling this way, I probably wouldn't be feeling this way. I don't know. I feel like older people are just so like it's so stuck in them, like, oh, just go to church, just pray it away, just don't think about it.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of discard those thoughts is
Yeah.
what's going to solve it. I'm like,
I think that our community in general, like the Black community across the diaspora, has been so conditioned to just survive.
Yeah.
So you don't even really get into the nitty gritty of how you feel. It's just like, get it done.
Yeah.
Like if you complain to someone about, oh, work is bothering me, it's like, okay, but you're making money, so go to work and get it done, and then that's it.
Yep.
Now I think we're evolving past the point where we're surprised that we can even get jobs that make decent money, and now we're settling into the like, okay, so how do I feel in this job? How do these people make me feel? Do I feel, you know? And that's lost on them. To them, we are like, oh my God, you are living the American dream.
Exactly.
But what's going on the inside is like not always the American dream, really.
Yeah. They've never had to think about that. And that ties into our later topic, but they've never had to think about that. So of course they're not going to pass that down.
No.
But I'm so glad that our generation is just like redefining how we do things, because damn, we need to unlearn a lot of shit from our parents.
Yeah. Is that the garbage?
I think I was trying to ignore it.
Yeah. We do have to unlearn a whole lot from our parents, but I think that like step one, I know a lot of people who resent their parents and the way that they raise them and the ideals that they have, but I feel like one step beyond resentment is understanding. Like you have to understand where they came from, why they have those thoughts, why you have different thoughts. And if you're mature enough, you can have conversations with them about it and explain to them why that doesn't apply or why it's different for you now. But if you sit in the resentment for too long, it's really not, it's
going to be lost on you. And you know what? It's actually kind of difficult to talk to older folks.
It is.
Because, boy, do they not like new information. My goodness. Even with this vaccine stuff, bro. My mom is high risk. I be telling her, go get the vaccine. She's like, no, wait till next year. It's so new. They're saying, I'm like, who's saying? WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Who the fuck on WhatsApp is a doctor?
Yeah.
A scientist? I'm like, yeah, of course it's going to be fast because we have like all this technology. I'm not up here trying to do the pro vaccination, whatever. Do what you want to do. I don't care. But I'm going to do what's best for me. But it's like, I'm trying to help her because I feel like at this point now that I'm my mom's mom.
Oh. My God, yes.
And I have to be on her about her health and like different stuff. So I'm just like, I'm trying to present this new information. Like, this has always been a thing. This is just a new strain. It's just like, she just,
that whole
WhatsApp got her in a chokehold.
The vaccine talk is so interesting. Okay, when the vaccine first came out, I was like, absolutely not. Like, they're trying to use Black people as guinea pigs. Like, like, I'm not rocking with y'all. But then over time, when I saw that other communities were running to get it, like, it was like, they were there. I've heard stories about white people going into the Black neighborhoods to their vaccine sites because we wasn't using them. They're like, oh yeah, we about to get this. I feel like either the vaccine is going to do nothing or it's going to help you. But how people are saying like, oh, you might, like all these really terrible things, I just don't foresee that happening. But I don't know. Like you said, do what you want. But it's the misinformation that flows through like WhatsApp and Facebook and like trying to scare us away from getting things that I feel like could be beneficial to us. I think that that's like a ploy. Like somebody was like, you know what, if we can just convince their community that like this is going to be bad for them, then we'll get all the vaccine and then we'll leave them unvaccinated. It's like, so this is just as bad.
Right. So it's like a damned if you do, a damned if you don't.
It's difficult. Situation. It's difficult, but do what you feel is right.
Absolutely. And another thing also with mental health and how we perceive it is, especially when we talk about school shooters, is connecting mental health with violence.
Honestly, anything a white person does that's wrong, they have a diagnosis 2 words after it.
Yep.
Shooter with
at.
But when Black people, it's just Black on Black crime. They need to stop. Like, okay, have we talked about the systemic things that went on in that person's life? How they even resorted to being a part of that? Why it just is not the full story is never told. And don't get me wrong, it's people who tweak in every race.
Yeah, for sure.
But like for us, we never get the grace of an explanation of what happened before.
Yeah, so when it's constantly being said, oh, this person did this because they had this condition, then your people are starting to weaponize mental health.
That is true.
And then it's like, well, people then see themselves as like, well, if I have that, am I gonna do that? Then I don't want to tell nobody just in case, because I don't want them to perceive me as violent because I have this.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so true. And I didn't think about that. But if they get on, it's true. If you see on the TV, you're a little kid, you see like shooter with depression does X, Y, and Z, and you know that you had just talked to a therapist and they're like, you have depression. Now you're like, oh man, the world is scared of people like me.
Exactly. So you're going to be less inclined to seek help, to talk about these things, to really actually that's another thing people with mental illnesses don't really do a lot. They don't sit with their diagnosis. They don't allow themselves to be whatever they are, out of the shame, out of the fear, and all of that. And that can be just as detrimental as not seeking treatment.
Yeah.
But you were talking about systemic racism, and I did find a quote in relation to all of this that I want to read.
That's very much like our podcast. To
basically.
Talk about race in every context.
Exactly. Additionally, issues like systemic racism and a lack of cultural sensitive treatments by providers may also play a role in the way the Black community views mental illness and treatment. It is not normalized in the way that it should be. People often view it as a personal and or moral defect. As a result, the mental health field is viewed along the same lines as the other systems that have caused substantial harm to Black people.
You know what? This just made me think about in the beginning of your quote.
What?
Can we talk about the finances of it all?
Yep, that was one of my next thing. Yep.
Okay, I mentioned earlier that our community has been taught to just survive.
Yeah.
If you are a Black mother and your kid is like, Mom, I'm sad, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and that's these other things, and they're talking about, can I go and talk to somebody? You'll be like, talk to your imaginary friends, bro. Like, watch TV, do some art, or something like that, because unfortunately, these services are not free. So
or affordable.
They're not affordable at all. Like it's
like what on average, like $175 an hour to see a provider without insurance. But yeah, back on the topic of the media, they do a terrible job
of showing what therapy is.
Showing therapy, highlighting mental illness and stuff like that. It's always in a very violent form that they actually bring that up. But even like knowing the difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist.
Yes,
I just recently found out through my own little research and my own mental health issues and stuff like that. But I feel like with therapy, it's not just how are you doing?
But that's what they always show.
But in my experience, I've been going to therapy for going on 3 years now. It uncovers some shit, bro.
Okay, everyone says that. That's why I'm like, I want to go.
With a good therapist, too.
Yeah.
It uncovers some shit. I was like, bro, I thought I was over that. Like, bro, I didn't even know I felt that way.
I was over that.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know I felt that way. I'm the type of person, I don't present as emotional, but I'm a super emotional person. When I say for a year straight, I went in that bitch crying every fucking day. And I was doing it on my lunch break doing work, so I go back to the office. Like,
they'd be like, are you okay? Did everything go all right?
But yeah, it really does, like, get to the root of, like, why you feel the way you do, why you are the way that you are.
That's what I hear about
it. It uncovers, yeah. But you got to be ready and willing. If you're not either, and if you be lying, you're fucking wasting your money in therapy. Like, why are you lying?
I've heard stories about, not to disclose too much information, but I was in a past relationship with someone who was going to therapy, and they'd be like, and I had told them, like, if you don't start seeing a therapist right now, like, I'm leaving yesterday. Yeah. So, he was starting to see the therapist, and he would tell me the stuff that she was saying, and I'm like, wow, you're in there lying to her. This is me in my mind. He's like, but my therapist said I'm a really good this, and I'm a good that, and it's like, you're lying to her, so you're wasting your time, her time, my time, everybody's time. But if somebody is a liar, they're going to lie. You're sitting, you're sitting as somebody who is a professional, and the words that they say are like bond
legal
to people,
and they're also legally binded to you to not say shit to anybody ever.
So
no one can know what happens behind those closed doors.
People be in there like, and then everybody did me dirty.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
I didn't do a thing wrong. It just did, like, okay, you're wasting everybody's time. Yeah. So please.
My therapist has a good way of kind of feeding into like what I want to hear, but also clocking me when I need to. Okay. So that way I get a holistic, like, you know what? Maybe I did fuck up right there. Maybe I do need to do this better. Yeah. And trying to bring, instead of like centering it on other people and what other people have done to me, just bringing the attention back to me. Because that's what we're talking about in this instance. Yeah. So.
And okay, the way that you're framing it and the way that I've heard, like, a lot of my friends are, more and more of us are starting to go, and I'll be sending people the website. Just because I haven't found one yet doesn't mean that I'm not like a champion for it. Yeah. But it helps you like shape your mind, and it's not just go meditate. Yeah, no. It's not just like make a painting. No. And I think that some people think that it's that. Like, oh, okay, they're just going to tell you to go in. And don't get me wrong, like, they probably do teach you coping mechanisms, but it doesn't have to be so, like, stereotypical and corny. Exactly. It's bigger than that. And they're professional. Like, this is not some, you can't just pick up and be a therapist.
No, you got to go to school for it.
But, you know, one thing I have been seeing, this is just a side note. I've been seeing a lot of people coming out like, I'm a life coach. Have you been seeing that?
Yeah.
But how?
I've been seeing all type of coaches, but yeah.
It's been a lot of like trainings, and I'm a coach for X, Y, and Z. Like, how did y'all become that? Can I coach life? Like, based on what?
I wouldn't even feel comfortable coaching nobody I know life shit.
Sending people straight off. Like, you know what? I don't know. But try this too.
But yeah, therapy is definitely something to consider. But yeah, and on the topic of disparity and like having access to it, so because people don't have money in the Black community, a lot of the people in the Black community live below the poverty line. Statistically speaking, they don't have the access to like culturally competent care, so the treatments that they seek are going to be poor. Like, people will go to the emergency room or the physician when they really need to go see a therapist or a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So then you're not really getting the treatment. You're just like, it's just like a Band-Aid. Yeah. Over a wound that's literally needs something else for it to close. So it's things like that. And I feel like it could also be like the knowledge behind it, since we mark it as something that's so taboo. We don't want to talk about it in our families. It's like, where do you get this knowledge of what this and that is, and when it comes to mental illness?
You don't. But then you have people like us. I feel like that's what's so important about the millennials. Hello, wake up. And what's the ones after us? Gen Z?
Gen X?
Something. Y'all know about therapy. The people younger than us have grown up watching shows like 13 Reasons Why. You know, like, I feel like they're probably more accustomed to seeing it. But I feel like millennials, we're in between them. It's our job kind of to be that champion for better in our families, which is difficult. Yeah. But
because they're so set in their ways. But I be trying anywhere I can, offer a little bit. Like, I was like, hey, let's go to therapy. I was like, let's go to a family therapy. All of us. Good. Bro, they probably be in that bitch fighting, embarrassing the fuck out of me.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They need it. Shit.
So my God, I don't know if I've talked about this on here yet. Okay, so my godparents are Mexican because my friend Luisa's parents are my godparents. Anyways, my godmom started to go to therapy, and I'm so excited about it. And then her therapist had told her to have like some conversation with her 3 daughters. Like, I don't know what, because I'm, you know, but something, and she did it, and it was great. Aww. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful to see, like, that she went and did it, and it's working, and she's bettering herself. Like, that's emotional. We need more people like that. I know. It's so cute.
We need more people like that. Yeah. I want to talk about something that my therapist actually talks to me a lot about. Do you know what parenting your inner child is? Do you know what your inner child is?
Based on what it sounds like, I could guess, but just tell us what the...
I'm gonna tell you the inner child theory. So it's a theory that we all have a childlike aspect within our unconscious mind. The inner child can be seen as a sub-personality, a side of your character that can take over when you are faced with a challenge. I have a
So
quote if you want me to get deeper.
It's saying, so like, if when times get rough, you revert back to like your...
That's the person that shows up.
The kid.
Yes.
Also, that's why when people start arguing, they'll be like, and that's why you... And they'd be like, why are you... You sound like a kid.
It's not exactly childish in nature. Let me read this quote. Hopefully this will clear this up a little bit better. See. So the quote says, "The inner child reflects the child we once were in both his or her negative and positive aspects. Both our unmet needs and suppressed childhood emotions, as well as our childlike innocence, creativity, and joy are still waiting within of us." So you know the example that I gave earlier when I was like, when I went to therapy, I was like, damn, I didn't know I was over that. Shit like that. Like some shit that happened, some trauma you experienced or whatever as a child, it shows up in you as an adult.
Okay.
You can say like in my adult stuff, I'm over a ton of things. I don't really care about a whole lot. But the inner child in me, I'm still hurt. X, Y, Z that happened when I was younger. So then now I have to do the work to parent my inner child so that it can be aligned with my adult.
Okay, now that's some deep. But that makes sense though. It makes sense.
Isn't it?
And okay, inner child, just past self generally, or you during your adolescent years?
Just past. I feel like past.
Okay.
Not like.
It's not me yesterday.
No.
But
that would be considered your past self. But I think it is like within a certain time frame. It's
your formative years, probably.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Right. So when we're referencing inner child, that's the type of things that we're talking about. On all of us have it. We don't know. We might not know it or we don't acknowledge it, but we all have it.
As you're saying that stuff, I'm like, oh, like I know what little me would have been impressed about. Like, so wow. That's crazy.
And we do stuff and tell ourselves like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm over that. It's like whatever. But it's never really whatever, because when you're presented, we're in a situation where you have to think about that again. You're like, you feel that shit, but you don't stop yourself from feeling that because you've been telling yourself you're over it. But
I feel like anything that there's no such getting over something that affects you and affects the trajectory of your life, regardless if it's like, okay, that was small or like that was whatever the case may be. Like it had that thing been different, your life would have been different. And you can't help but to, consider things like that. Yeesh.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, let's go to therapy yesterday
and take care of your inner child. But it's an important thing though, because it allows you to know where your root issues come from.
Yeah.
And how you're going to deal with it.
Yeah. I feel like that's an understated outcome of therapy. Like people think that you just go there and they tell you how to get over things.
Oh no.
But without knowing how much is actually wrong within you, you wouldn't even think about the outcomes if you had any sense of all that's going on inside of you.
Yeah, all that shit that's buried in the back of your mind, that's the shit that comes up because they're gonna ask you a question and you're like, fuck. It unlocks a memory like, damn, I had locked that away so deeply. I didn't think it was ever going to resurface.
Right. And you can kind of see now that I'm thinking about it, and we've had conversations about this, like you can see in people's actions like past trauma almost. Like if they're acting a certain way or they say certain things, it's like we make in society, we always say, who hurt you? Yeah. Like a joke.
But that's
it's really
who
like
hurt you?
The way that you're talking shows that somebody gave you trauma in that area and you should explore it. Like,
or when people are like, I hate when people say this because I have it, but when people are like, oh, you got daddy issues, I actually kind of do. So where do we go from there?
Like, yes, what's next?
Right. It's like all that jokey stuff. That's real life.
And you know what? Daddy issues doesn't necessarily have to be an absent father. I feel like a lot of people, even people with fathers present, have issues with their father, whether it be how they acted or things they did, things they said, like. So let's not, and we also should make more a thing out of mommy issues.
Bro. Oh my goodness.
Because it'll be like, oh, say there's a girl and she grew up like without her father and she had her mom there and then he's gone. So it's like, you got daddy issues. Okay, but what about the parent who I actually know and was up against and was, what about the issues that arose out of that relationship? We don't talk about that enough. But I think that we don't want to, you don't want to make the parent who stayed feel bad.
Yeah. It's like they did their best.
Yeah,
but it's like, yeah, but you also neglected me emotionally. So let's like talk about that.
That's what's so hard about I did my best culture.
Yeah. Oh my God. Because people love that.
I try, and don't get me wrong, like everyone's grateful for someone who can give a little effort, but it's like you doing your best might not have been the best for that child or for that other person. So I think in general, everybody just go to therapy so then conversations can flow more fluidly, because without I feel like professional help, those conversations are so uncomfortable that you just kind of want to avoid having them. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, we're never going to get over this.
Exactly. Especially when you see it going south. You're like, all right, okay, we ain't got to talk about this. But the thing is, y'all do have to talk about that.
You should eventually.
You have to talk about that. And the thing about parents sometimes is that they don't see, I think we've mentioned this before, they don't see children as their equals.
They don't.
Like, your child is literally your equal. Yeah. And you should treat them as such, especially when it comes to validating their emotions and, like, treating them like they matter. They're, like, a human in themselves. You got to treat them that way. Treat them how you would want to be treated.
Yeah, but that's not.
Of course, you have, like, you know, the authority to say, well, you can't do this because of the safety or whatever, but you can't just abuse them emotionally and think
that is
you did just your best. That's not a good excuse.
Yeah. It's also just knowing, like, what is abuse. Yeah. Like, the lack of knowledge in our community. Like, somebody would be like, oh, yeah, like, my kid was bad, so I whipped him every day. And the kid is like, you were abusive. And to them, it'd be like, but my mom whipped me every day. Right. Like, what's abusive about that? It's just like a lack
I got abused. I turned out fine.
Right. That, oh, my God, that I turned out fine.
Baby.
No. So, yeah, lack of knowledge is bad too. Like, manipulation. The boys are on motorcycles. I feel like manipulation is something that is difficult to name. Yeah. So if someone's like, okay, I grew up and they like manipulated me, they'll be like, did what?
Like bro, what are you talking?
Exactly. Something like that is so difficult to, you know, put your finger on. So it probably doesn't come off like abusive or a problem, but it's like,
or you don't want to attach that emotion or that negative connotation with someone you love.
That's true too.
That loyalty of love is something that we also have to like loosen a little bit to like family, mothers, fathers, siblings. You gotta loosen that a little bit. Yeah. Because that loyalty can be broken and you need to address some things.
You're saying we are too loyal to the extent that we don't want to
call out things in the name of love.
Ooh. Now that is,
because I can love my parents, I can love my family, and I can acknowledge, you know what, I didn't get all that I needed emotionally as a child. Yes, you provided a roof over my head, clothes, shoes, but that's your job. You wanted a child, so that is your job. But I'm also a human, and I need to be validated emotionally. I need to know that I'm safe when I'm with you. I need those things. Right. Without those things, I can't be a functioning human. I'm gonna be kind of off balance if I don't have that, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and you don't want to hurt. That's a sick cycle. You don't want to hurt their feelings for hurting your feelings.
Exactly.
It's like, but
and you know that's classic manipulation. Their feeling is always going to be hurt more that you're bringing it up, but they're not going to acknowledge the hurt that they caused
it's
you
like,
by doing whatever.
But I thought I did what I thought was best in that moment, and it's like, if I'm the person who was sad about it, who felt terrible about it. You telling me how you're reacting to me having felt sad about it should not hold that much weight, but it always does. You can't even have certain conversations because it's like, but and then they start getting all defensive and it's like, all right, never mind, I'll just deal with it on my own.
Like, I got it, whatever. So that's why I focus on therapy for me, because if I do what I gotta do, I'm gonna be good. I can't help everybody else. They gotta get to that point on their own, but I can deal with my own shit. Treat my little inner child. Make sure she good. Shit, because bro, my family ain't the one, and I'll give it up. Then I go into therapy.
I'm still chipping away. I think that when I find my own, it'll be like a very good, like, okay, I'm here and I'm in it consistently. But
yeah, absolutely. But to close it off, I do have 10 ways to mother your inner child.
Dun, dun, dun.
The first way is you can start by validating your feelings and emotions. That little situation that happened back then that you locked away, if it comes up, feel free to just feel it in that moment. Don't
just be
stop
like,
yourself.
That really had me pressed.
Yeah.
It's hard to get out of those. You know, like
you
if something comes up from the past and you're pressed about it, I always find it difficult to like accurately or like safely walk away from the thought. It's like either I'm thinking about it hella long and I'm pressed, or I'm trying to act like it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it wasn't that deep. Let me just stop thinking about it. So I mean, therapy will come in there because the girls
absolutely
will be pressed all day.
You're valid in feeling those emotions, so you don't necessarily have to walk away.
Fair.
But then you have to find a good coping mechanism so you're not lingering on it. Also,
right.
So it's like that.
It's
that balance, yeah. Mm-hmm. The second way is by paying attention to your needs and honoring them. We all know what our needs are.
Right.
Stick to it. Them non-negotiables, y'all.
Ooh.
Ooh. And not just that in relationship, just like in life, period.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I'm thinking of like
instances.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of not romantic relationships. I'm thinking of friendships. Yo. Like set your stuff and do not let anything else.
Period.
In if it's not that, because people will have you off the deep end with them if you let them.
If you need to listen to our first episode, boundaries again. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. This is a hard one, especially for Black women,
because
we're not afforded the opportunity.
No, bro, you do any.
We are not afforded the opportunity to just be mediocre.
We cannot be regular.
We need some more mediocre Black women. Come on. Let's pump that up. Let's start that. Let's be the generation. Even though us, we kind of doing a little too much, but let's bring that back. Where's Black mediocrity? Like, come on now.
Let our kids be basic. Come on, girls.
Let them just be. Like, damn, we ain't gotta be perfect.
We have to excel in literally everything to get.
And that's tiring.
Who are you telling, bro?
Everything I gotta be the best, the top, bro. Let's it's okay to be imperfect. Offer yourself support and care during pain. You know how I do that? I listen to sad songs so I can cry more. I love doing that.
Ooh, I watch.
And then eventually I stop.
I watch This Is Us every Tuesday.
I heard that's a tearjerker.
It's a tearjerker, bro. So if it's not nothing going on in my life, I'll just do my regular cry. But if it's something deep going on in my life during the commercial, I'm like still crying, like, but get it out some way.
Yeah, get that pain out. Number 5 is notice all you're already doing so well.
Okay.
I think I tweeted about this when I was having like a slow week in my work this week, and I was like just going through some shit. You know how like you have your HR portal, just clicking on buttons and stuff, seeing shit. I was like, and I came across this like talent profile, and I just saw the things that I wrote back in 2019 when I was still in a different position. I'm like, I did all of that.
See,
I was like, what? I'm so glad I documented that. I was like, damn, that's really me. So I took a moment just to be like, dust my shoulders off, because I did that.
I feel like whatever your field is or profession, craft, like find ways to document so that you can look back and be like, even if it's just your social media page or whatever, like you can look back and be like, oh wow, like I've come so far. And for a lot of us, like our current life is like the dream. Like this is what we've been working for so many years. So like some days are hard, but don't forget big picture. Like
absolutely,
this is that.
That's true. Delight in small moments of joy with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. I do that with food.
Mine be TV shows lately.
Yeah.
Food too low-key.
Number 8 is allow yourself to set and maintain boundaries. Again, episode 1, go back and listen to it. Number 9, affirm your own existence as a human being.
Oh.
Affirmations. Words of affirmations. And last but not least, and very most importantly, remind yourself of your worth over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you can't anymore, and then start over.
Boom. Remind yourself of your worth. That's important.
That's super important.
And I think whenever we talk about like know your worth, you often see it in the romance context.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm worthy of X, Y, and Z, but like really your worth is, and like in every context, like at your job, with your friends, with your family, like what level of respect are you worth? Are you deserving of? And anything that's not that should not be in your space. Like, am I worthy of somebody trying to cuss me out or trying to slander my name or whatever? No, you're not. So don't deal with that.
Dead that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is it for today. I will link all the links to where I got all this information from, so y'all can check it out. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all are, checking in with yourself in regards to your mental health, and if you want to explore your inner child a little bit more, tap into that as well.
We can tag, what is it, Black Girls Do Therapy or Black Girls in Therapy.
Yeah.
There's probably some other, we can find some like websites. Yeah. So check.
For sure. Check it out.
Check the links.
As always, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all can find us on social media, Read the Room Pod for Instagram and Twitter. And you can email us.
readtheroompod@gmail. And what's that thing called? Curious Cat?
Yeah.
We have one, but I don't know if the link is up.
How you don't know? You supposed to post it.
Well, I know the link is not up, but I'm saying like I don't know how it. Can you go to the website and type in Read the Room Pod?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, whatever. I'll go put a link right now. Let me just do
so
that.
the link is in our bio. If you click our bio, there's our link tree with all our links. Click Curious Cat if that's just an easier way for you to quickly submit a feedback, a question.
Please ask us for some advice, bro.
And last but not least, if you enjoy hearing our content and all the work that we do to get you good content, please give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars preferred, or leave a comment. We love you all so much. We'll see y'all next time, or y'all hear us next time.
Bye.
Bye.